Bringing us up now. We should now be audible. We might have been audible before. We're not sure. We're having
No idea.
issues with our tool.
There's always some sort
We
of
didn't.
technical issue.
We didn't say anything incriminating though. Hopefully, so I'm sure we're fine.
Hopefully not. But anyway, we're live. We're on day 3. What day is it today? Okay, so
Thursday.
on our schedule, it should be Wednesday, but we started on Tuesday because of technical issues. So welcome back to the BBO show. You've got myself and Kyle online. And today we are focusing on a section of the baton system, which is, so we've done business. If you think about the first episode, we've done audience, how to attract an audience's attention as a second episode. And now the third day or episode of this week, we're focusing on how to harness a tribe. So the third letter in the baton system is tribe. And essentially the key question is, how do we get people to care? How are they even going to care about us and start to form around our idea, our business, our product? And that's important. And what we're focusing on in terms of product is events, businesses, individuals, mainly individuals like yoga teachers, gym instructors, educators who have to, even coaches and mentors who have to physically meet people online. So even some kind of coaching and mentoring cannot happen remotely. It has to happen physically. So if I had to do a quick recap, number one is the easiest way to transition is just to transition your clientele online, if that's possible. What if it's not possible? So we discussed the idea of using an ultimate resource list in order to start to become the host of the party. And you must check out second episode because we dive into it deeply there. We don't have time now to cover that. So just check out episode number 2 of this particular week. So that's it in a nutshell. Now we are covering how do we get people to care? How do we get people a part of our tribe? How do we get them in our follower base and actually interact with us? That's where we're focusing on today. So Kyle, hi, welcome back to another day.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good.
I think it's worth quickly touching on the baton model, which we've been talking about over the last few days. But again, It is baton, and that spells out BATON, which is business, audience, tribe, offer, and network. The first day we talked about business, kind of working out what exactly the value you are producing, what value are you putting out into the world. If you're a yoga teacher, obviously it is your expertise in yoga and being able to help people to learn that skill. We then moved into audience, how you get the world to know what it is you do, how you get your message out there into the wide world. Now today we're moving into tribe, and it's worth talking about what this is, because when we're going out wide to as many people as possible in audience, we can use the internet to get to millions of people. That's not really a problem. However, we're not expecting everybody in that group, in that million or that 10 million group, to actually care about what we do. We also don't need them all to care, which is a good thing. A lot of people, if you use social media, you know that you can just swipe through and there is so much information. There are so many people putting out content that because our time and our attention is limited, we will only spend that time with people that we actually care about. And that's what we are trying to do today.
I'll bring up a diagram so it makes sense as well.
Yeah, this is great. Offer there should be more audience. So this is what we are.
It's our own system.
So at the top of the funnel, imagine we have a funnel like this and we're filtering down. At the top of the funnel, we have audience. We have 1 million people.
Which is what we discussed yesterday.
Tribe. Yeah. Then we have a tribe. It might only be 1,000 people. It's a lot smaller, but it doesn't matter because they care a lot more than the wider audience. And that's what we're talking about today.
All right, let me bring it up so it makes sense. Okay. So
great.
That's what it's supposed to look like. So that's what we did on episode 2. Now we're on episode 3, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow. So join us tomorrow, every day at 12 o'clock.
Yeah. So a lot of online businesses, they jump straight to the offer. They jump straight to the sale. And so most online businesses do that. It's just an advert saying, this is what we sell, come and buy it now. It doesn't really work online nowadays because people are, they're fed up of being sold to. And that's why instead we grow an audience, we build something of value put out into the world. We get people to opt into our tribe to actually say, hey, hands up, I care about what it is you're doing and I want to hear more from you. And then and only then are we going to move to offer. That's when we're going to start selling to people.
Yeah. So what Carl's saying is when we have our business idea, product, service, most people will skip immediately to offer and they don't worry too much. Sometimes they worry about the audience, but they certainly skipped what we're talking about today, which is the tribe. Massive, massive difference. So I put a big cross there. We don't want you to do this. Instead, we want you to work through this process. And every week we'll be working through this process. Every 3 weeks from memory, we'll be working through this process with a different industry. So we're focused on a certain industry at the moment.
Yeah. And because of the coronavirus, because of COVID-19 right now, what a lot of businesses are doing, they've lost their offline business. So they're no longer able to do classes or lessons at the local gym, for example. So they have jumped straight to trying to sell online classes without bothering to build an audience, without bothering to build a tribe.
Now, here's a question, Carl. Straight, how long does that take, this part here? Because I do empathize with them. I do appreciate, look, shit, we've got to transition quick. So I can understand why they would want to do that theoretically. But how long would this take? Say, for example, the process we're discussing this week. It's a very hard question, I know.
It's a very difficult question.
Yeah.
It depends on what results you need. If you are just looking for a handful of people to start paying for online classes, we don't need to reach millions and millions and millions of people or get thousands of people into our tribe. We need a handful. And that's why we started yesterday when we're talking about how we start to distribute our ultimate list, how we distribute that resource guide. We started locally. We started with our existing clients. We started with people in the local neighborhood. Because that might be enough to build up the online client base you need. So based on what we've been talking about yesterday and today, we're talking about a few weeks rather than 6 months. If you're trying to build up a massive online mechanism to generate online sales, in the thousands, so you're selling courses online every day, hundreds of courses, then it would take time. It would take 6 to 12 months, but that's a totally different business. What we're talking about right now is instead of rushing off and just running some Facebook ads, which I know a lot of you will be thinking, this is the kind of thing I need to do. You can do that, and it does work, and you will get a few online sales, and you will be able to start doing classes, but it's very expensive. We are talking about doing some value building at the same time. So we're doing this in parallel to just running adverts. And over the next couple of weeks or months, I mean, this lockdown might be here for a while. This system of building an audience and building a tribe will start to generate business for you for a very low cost.
And I think they're talking about even May, taking this into May, like extending it into May. I think I saw that headline today. I didn't look into the article, so I don't know for sure, but that's the rumor.
I mean, probably long, but we'll see.
I think they're just okay, another week. Yeah, is that?
Well, that's the thing. You can't say, oh, it's going to be here till September, because everybody would just go, nope, I'm out. There'd be chaos. So the sensible thing is just to keep saying, oh yeah, a bit longer until people get used to it.
It's like when you tell your kids in the car, oh, how long till we get there? Are we there yet? We'll be there soon. It's just 5 more minutes, and then it's like hours. So I think it's an example of that tactic for mass population. So now we've got our ultimate resource list. Okay, we've got our ultimate resource list. How do we get people to care about that, and how do we move people from just looking at it and saying this is fantastic into a position where they can actually transact with us, whether it's attention transaction. And what I mean by that is just exchanging, i.e., for example, you're watching this video, you're transacting your attention rather than any sort of money. So that's all that's happening right now. So transacting attention or transacting some sort of money if we are there yet.
Yep, we're moving towards that. But first, we need to, before people are going to open their wallets and give us money, we need to get their attention and show them that we're worthwhile investing in. So we're not going to jump too quickly. We will talk about money tomorrow. So if you're sitting here like, oh, I just want to get paid,
I need to get money.
Tomorrow. That's all. Don't worry, it
So,
will come.
yeah, and by the time you spent 2, 3, 4 weeks with us, this will be embedded in your mind. So this is the process. So yeah, we would all love to get the cash instantly, but the online world is super, super busy. So working through this process helps you niche a little bit of a space and allow attention to come to you in that bit of space that you've created in this mass online world.
Yep. So let's jump into the meat of today, which is we want to have a place for people to get in touch with you, for people to learn about what it is you're doing. You might be thinking now, well, I've already got a website. That's not what we're talking about. Websites are quite old fashioned. They still have a use, but nowadays it's really about social media and groups that we're going to be talking about, because as a business, as a brand in and of yourself, there needs to be interactivity. It's not enough just to have a HTML website.
So what we're saying is to get people around us, we basically need a mechanism to take people from the wider space into a group where we can actually interact with them. So we're saying our recommendation, number one, is we need to work out a way to get people within a group.
Yep, and specifically for this particular niche, for this particular funnel that we're taking people through, it's going to be a Facebook group. So there are many ways to do this. We can get people onto a newsletter. We can get people to a physical meetup. I run a few of them. Obviously, that is not working at the moment because people aren't meeting. We can get people onto a membership site. We can get people into a LinkedIn group instead of a Facebook group. There's a lot of different things we can do. But right now, talk about Facebook.
we should talk about this, or the Slack group. So an example of this is come join us in our Slack group. The link is in the comments or the description somewhere there. But find that link, and we'll also have that link in the website in the future, which is bbo.show. So two places you'll be able to find it. So a way for you to interact with us is, for example, in a Slack group. So we've decided to choose a Slack group. Maybe we can discuss that in a little while on why we decided to choose Slack group versus a Facebook group.
Because I don't like Facebook.
Carl doesn't like Facebook. I'm actually not a big fan of Facebook.
There are other reasons, but that's a big one. So we are doing exactly what we're teaching you as well. So what you're watching right now, this is audience. This is us putting value out into the world and building an audience. I mean, I was just looking at the figures, and we've only put out 2 episodes, and we've had about 1,000 people getting an impression from YouTube alone, and it's more people from Facebook, etc. This is just us putting our flag in the ground and saying this is the value we're going to be offering, and we're starting to see an audience build up already. The Slack group is our tribe. That's where we're communicating with people and bringing a community around us based on what we're doing. This is only episode 3, so we will see how it goes. But we are doing what we are teaching you as well. However, in your case, if you run classes, if you run events, if you're doing yoga classes, for example, we're recommending a Facebook group instead of Slack. And there are reasons for that. We can talk about that shortly.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, but I don't run a yoga group, but it could be Zumba, it could be you're a PT, it could be you're a interventional coach, it could be that you're a mentor to a group of people. It's you could be a networking meeting host. That's very common across the UK.
Just using yoga, it's just shorthand.
Yeah, just consider yoga shorthand for all of these interactions, and there's a lot where people have to physically meet others, and in this space where you're almost educating, providing a service of something similar to yoga. So when we do say that, don't just feel like, oh, well, I'm not a yoga instructor, it doesn't apply to me. It may apply to you. So look for the opportunity in the message that we're describing.
Anytime you're getting people in a room, this is going to be relevant. Okay, so Facebook group. What I do want to show you, coming back to yoga again, but I'm going to pull up an example of a really good Facebook group. Now, I don't know if I can.
So you make yourself small
trouble.
and just drop me out this one.
I think. So what I'm going to do is this for now. I'm just going to quickly talk about it. I'm not sure if you are audible, Harms. We're having problems. Yeah, he'll find out shortly. So I just want to show you something called Yoga with Cassandra. Again, this is just a yoga example because it's a nice, easy way for us to talk about it. Doesn't have to be yoga. Yoga for Cassandra, this is a private group, so you do need to apply to enter it. However, it's free. Anyone can apply. She had in this group nearly 20,000 members. Sorry, nearly 21,000 members. You can see there were 96 new posts a day. In the last 30 days, she's added nearly 10,000. So it's doubled in the last 30 days. I wonder why. Yes. Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. So this group has doubled in the last 30 days. Yeah, there's a good reason for that. So Yoga with Cassandra, her audience material is out on YouTube. YouTube is her main platform. It's all free. She does free YouTube videos. And then the call to action from those videos is to come and join her Facebook group. She also has this. It's a free 7-day beginner yoga journey. 7-day beginner yoga journey. Yeah, I did say it right. Which is an email newsletter where you get 7 days worth of videos, basically. But the point of this group is you join up for this 7-day yoga journey and you come into the group to get support with that and beyond in her community. So here we are. This is a place to share your yoga journey and support others, not a place to promote or sell your products. Share photos and videos of yourself in yoga poses, doing Cassandra's videos or anything at all. Ask yoga or health-related questions, reach out for support, and share your accomplishments with the community. So this is it's a fantastic example of what you can do with a group. You are just creating a space for people to gather and to talk about and to discuss and share information around your particular niche. So this is, again, us being the host of the party. There's not much to see here, so I'm just going to bring back Harminder.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, you're right, Carl. There's and what that should give you is a big, like, well, hang on a minute. If I had done this beforehand, I would also see some sort of doubling in numbers. I mean, some people are going to win during this time. Some people are not. Some people are going to be in between. Some people are just going to wait. And it all depends on your personal circumstance. But that should be encouragement to us all to put something like this in place, because we never know what kind of luck, it sounds a bit weird, but luck in a certain scenario, whether it's good or bad, may occur to us. So she's seen a doubling in numbers within 30 days. So
she's had the group it's been around for 3 years.
Wow.
It's now nearly 21,000 members, but 9,500 of them arrived in the last 30 days. So that's telling you something.
That should be encouragement enough
about the opportunity right now. Yeah. It's not luck. It's well, it is, but it's the circumstances can operate in different ways for different people. And because she's online, because she's been putting videos out, been putting value out into the world, and saying, "Hey, I've got a private group where you can come and chat about yoga, and I'll be in there every once in a while." She put herself in a position where suddenly, because of the lockdown, she's doing extremely well as a result of this.
Absolutely. So yeah, I agree with this in regards to luck and what part that played in that process. But the fact is, she created that well in advance. So and that could have been intentional or unintentional. But what we can do is look at that lesson, and she won't be the only one there. But we can look at that lesson and say, okay, that is useful in strange times like this, and that's a good example. So that's what we're saying. So what we're saying is create a Facebook group, essentially, for where your tribe can come and interact. But here's a question, Carl: why a group and not a page? Why not?
Sure.
Why not? Hey, come like my Facebook page. I'm seeing that a lot now, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, you should be doing it somewhere else.
So I was looking at this. So previously we were talking about Yoga with Adrian, who is probably one of the largest, if not the largest,
Probably
yoga
the largest, yeah.
YouTuber. Yeah. So she has a Facebook page. She does not have a group.
Hmm.
So she's gone down a different route, and this is a really good question: is why should I have a group instead of a page? Because a group is more, it's actually harder to get into. Anyone can go and like a Facebook page. Anyone can access the content on a Facebook page. So why would I make it harder for the people who want to access me and access my content? Why would I make them have to join a group? And it's a valid question. The main reason is that because of the way the Facebook algorithm works, if I post content to a Facebook page, maybe what's the number? I always
It's
forget the
it's
number.
it's like I think it's between 10 to 16, 17%. That's a sort of figure I've seen recently.
Will see that content. So
Mm.
let's say I have 10,000 people who follow one of my Facebook pages. Maybe 1,000 of them, maybe 1,600 of them are going to see when I post a new video. That's it. The rest of them will not see it because Facebook is such a busy place. There's just so much information all the time that Facebook will not show everything I post to everybody who follows me. They used to, and a lot of people still think they do. A lot of business owners think if every time I post something on my Facebook page,
Mm.
obviously all my fans are going to see it.
Uh-uh.
Doesn't happen. No,
Mm-mm.
not at all.
Not anymore, anyway.
No, no, no. Used to years ago. A Facebook group though is different. There's much higher visibility because if somebody who's joined a Facebook group has raised their hand to Facebook and they've said, "Look, I'm really interested in what this person has to say. I'm interested enough to actually opt into the group that they have set up." As a result of this, when you do post something into a group, far more people will see it. It's much higher than 10%. I don't know the figures on it, but I know it's we I mean we can work it out from our groups. It's a very high percentage will see what it is you are posting, especially with live video, which is
Yeah,
something we're going to talk about.
especially with live video. And there's some really cool features within a Facebook group in terms of all of your posts. As an example, you can select an option to have it feature as an announcement, which means it's the first thing somebody sees every time they come into that group. And then once they've seen it, they'll see another announcement. Once they've seen that, they'll see another announcement. Just going off on another tangent, or the first tangent of this episode, there is an opportunity. No doubt, Facebook have explored it, where they will either they will either pay the group hosts a spot for being able to advertise certain things within that group, because advertising within a group is not a massive thing at the moment. Because if you're scrolling down a group feed, you don't actually see adverts feature within the group. So there's a potential there for either the host to create ad, or to experience a percentage of the ad revenue that Facebook makes, or they may be using groups in a way to get hyper like hyper targeted adverts, because they know certain groups will be interested in certain advertisements. So I wonder how long groups will stay safe from advertising.
Yeah, so at the moment you cannot
Yeah,
advertise
yeah.
directly to a group. That's just not something that can be done within the Facebook advertising interface, which means it's if you own the group, it's very powerful because
Mm.
you can pin an announcement or you can pin a post to the top of the group saying, "Hey, I'm starting a new workshop series. I'm going to be teaching yoga every Friday at 6 p.m. There are 30 spots available." You control the group, so you control the messages like that
Yeah.
that are going into the group. You've basically created a space on Facebook that you control. Whereas if you were on, so if somebody was on your page or in their stream, they're getting bombarded with messages from all over the place. It's very different, a very different environment to the safety of being in a group where it's just going to be, it's going to be your content and your value.
Absolutely. So in a short way, it's an opportunity for you to advertise for free. Um, that's another way to think about this. Although that's not the intention, that is another way to think about this. In terms of advantage for having a Facebook group, so it's extremely powerful. So why don't we like it? Let's just talk about that before we move on to how to get people in there, that kind of question. So why don't you like it, Carl? What's your beef with Facebook groups? And
I just don't personally use Facebook as a social media platform. So for me personally, it's not a very convenient place to consume content. I prefer other platforms, which is why we're using Slack for our group, because I'm much more likely to be there and to be to commit to actually adding value into that group. But for something where you are teaching using video, Facebook is amazing, because video is very native to Facebook. Whereas if we were to use WhatsApp for group, for example, video doesn't really fit in there very well. You can post videos, obviously, but the videos have to be relatively short, or they have to be embedded YouTube links. It's not built from the ground up for video, whereas Facebook definitely is.
So, for example, we've got a course, a private course that we ran into a paid Facebook group. So what we did is we used the Facebook group as because you can convert it into a social learning group. So you have social learning units which you can upload your videos to, and then a whole bunch of people who want to learn about something specific to do with online business join that group, and then they can actually work through that and then comment within those social learning groups, and then me and Carl could jump in, answer questions, and so on and so forth, to make sure they got somebody to interact with. So it is very powerful. I guess the reason I used to love it, I don't love it anymore, because I think they have Facebook. Yeah, it's just extremely distracting just to look in terms of a focused place to work. I like Slack because it's already adopted by big companies, because it's so focused. You're not getting bombarded with notifications. You're not getting bombarded from advertisements, your friends, these videos that are just there to get you to click it. It's hilarious, great, but I've just lost another 7 minutes of my life. There's too much of that on Facebook, versus Slack, where it's like, okay, I've got a specific question, Kyle and Harms, on what you discussed on episode number 3 around a Facebook group. How do I do this within my Facebook group? Amazing. Now we can answer that without me getting distracted by a silly video that's going to make me laugh.
So I think it's useful when we are talking about these kind of platforms, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever it is, we're talking to you. We are business owners, and you're a business owner. You're running a business. So when you use social media, when you use something like Facebook as a business owner, it's totally different to using it as a user. So personally, as Kyle, I do not use Facebook as a user. I do use Facebook as a business owner. Totally different thing. And it's, unless you've used Facebook for your business, unless you've used advertising, you've used it to build communities, etc., it's quite hard to wrap your head around the fact that Facebook is a platform. So Facebook sits between the users and the businesses who, like us, the business owners who want to get in touch with Facebook's users.
Yeah, and that's a quite interesting one, because if you just think about who's the actual customer there, it's not the user. Although they would like you to think that, or maybe they are partly, but their real customer is ultimately the person who pays them the cash. And the cash comes from businesses that advertise on their platform. That's it in a nutshell. So, okay, so let's move on to how do we get people to join the tribe now? So we're saying, right, we set up a Facebook group. So, okay, we've got an ultimate list. We're now set up a Facebook group. How do we get people from the list to the Facebook group?
Sure. So, I mean, the simplest way is we control the list. So at the top of the list, we're going to say, oh, if you like this, if you find this useful, if you like these kind of resources, we have a community set up. Here's the link, and you give the Facebook link.
Yeah.
And you make sure your Facebook group is pride of place in your list. Maybe in the introduction, you just say, if you like this, it was compiled by me and my company. I run a Facebook community here where we do X, Y, and Z. This is what we do in this group. What you do in the group, we're going to be discussing very shortly. But the basic idea is you're going to be providing a lot of value. You're going to be giving more and more and more value to the people who have chosen to come to you because you're an expert.
Okay, that makes sense to me. So essentially, we're just saying, right, let's pop it at the top of the working document. If you remember, it's a working document at the moment. Give them the link. and give them a reason, an incentive to join it. What's the advantage of this extra level of access that they're going to have to you, and the kind of information that you can get hold of. They already know that you're very useful in the fact that you can compile all of this information, whether it's whether your stuff is in there. It was also quite unbiased in the fact that you featured your competitors, you featured all of this cool stuff that you've done and experienced, which when you actually catalog like that, you probably will be surprised at yourself. Hang on a minute, I've actually used a lot of these tools or these services and I have an opinion on them. I enjoyed these. I didn't like these so much because of this. And that's great, you know, and people will start to flock around you because you have that kind of experience to share. So
what you're saying with the group is, if you want access to more of this expertise, if you have specific questions. So yeah, coming back to yoga mats again, maybe you've given 3 different yoga mat suggestions, but the person's still not sure and they have a question. Where do they ask the question? In your Facebook group. That's where you're going to be hanging out. So you can say that in your document. So that's going to be the easiest way to get people from the ultimate list to the Facebook group.
Okay, so that's the easiest way. That will potentially get a handful of people in for sure. What else?
And how well your resource list does, basically.
Depends on how viral it gets.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep. So again, we can't rely on that. If it does start getting spread around, fantastic. That's great. But we want to have a method where we control how many people come in. And for that, we might want to look at running some Facebook boosted posts.
Okay, so this is the second way. Okay, so we've discussed number one is just tell people that, you know, and they will see it when they get it on their WhatsApp, Nextdoor, and all these other cool places we told you about, your competitors, etc. Now we're talking about number 2, which is a Facebook boosted post.
Yep.
Yeah, you could just explore that with us.
Sure. So again, because we are at the moment coming at this from the perspective of pure value delivery, just giving away information, giving away classes, etc. It's quite easy to make that sale because we're not charging people anything. So I would recommend shooting a quick video where it is basically you saying what you're offering, who you are, and what they need to do to access what it is you're offering in this group. So it'd be a very simple video. So if it's yoga again, I might say, hi, my name's Kyle. I've put together a group for people who are interested in learning yoga. I'm going to be going live every day at 1 p.m. Doing a free yoga class. You'll be able to hook straight in through the group via Facebook Live. Totally free. All you need to do is hit the link below, join the group. I will add you into it and you'll be able to access that content every single day during this lockdown or whatever it is.
And you can trust me because I can do a downward dog amazingly.
Yeah, I cannot. I slide. Yeah, you don't have to do the video in a yoga pose, but if you want to, go nuts. But again, adapt it to your niche. But all you're saying is, this is what I'm offering. So you start with that. You don't start with who you are because people are going to turn off very quickly. You start with this is what I can do for you in the first couple of seconds. Yeah.
What's in it for me? I don't really care about who you are. I don't know you. You're a stranger. But what's in it for me? That's what people want to know.
Free yoga classes, 1 p.m. every day. Boom, straight in there. Then you can talk about who you are. Yeah. Because then at that point, they might be like, well, who is this person? Why should I listen to them? Why should I care? But first, you need to start with what's in it for them, because most people will scroll past very quickly. 3 seconds on Facebook is considered a watch. That's like a long time. If you manage to hold somebody's attention for 3 seconds, Facebook considers that a big win for you. So that gives you an idea of how little attention is spent on each piece of content.
Okay, so let me try this for our group. Okay, let me think. Okay, so a completely free Slack group where any of your online business and digital marketing questions will get answered.
They don't know what Slack is. Don't start with that.
Okay, don't start with Slack. They'll be like, oh, what's Slack? Okay, I like that. Okay, so free private group where any of your online business and digital marketing questions will get answered by Kyle and Harms. Why join us? Well, the question is, and I've lost it. Right, but then I would say, why join us? And it's basically I would anchor to something of value. So one is, if we create a resource list, I'll anchor to that as an example. Something we've done recently is we launched a course on Udemy, just to validate that the stuff that we teach is wanted. And I think we've got 12,000 students, over 200 reviews, and we've got about a 4.2 to 4.4 star rating out of all of those reviews. So that's pretty good. That's strong.
Yeah.
So if you haven't joined, they know I'm pitching. They know this. I did it subtly, but they know I'm pitching. So join the Slack group. You'll really love it. We've got a lot to share. So that's me doing. That's our pitch. Okay, so boosting the post is awesome, and that's essentially, in short, you're just spending a bit of money to get the post seen by lots of people. Off the back of that message that you just said.
So from a technical point of view, you record that video, you upload it to Facebook, onto your Facebook page. If you don't have one, you make one. You upload that video, and then below that post will be a little blue button that says boost post, and that allows you to send it out to your market on Facebook. So I'd recommend, again, if you're doing something like yoga, I might target Yoga with Adrian, and then the UK, or Yoga with Adrian in London.
Yeah, watch episode 1. Watch episode 1 for that. Yeah, we talk about audience and data and how to find that, the size, the kind of things you would type in. So check out episode 1 of this particular week, and you'll have that question answered there.
And I'd basically put £5 or £10 behind that post and see what happens. See how many people you get coming into the group because of that. I don't want to go into detail massively on Facebook advertising today.
I'm sure we'll cover that in the future. I'm sure we will. So, yeah.
Also, it's going to be extremely specific to your niche. So this is the kind of thing you can ask us in your Slack group if you want some kind of help.
Now that's a pitch.
Yeah, well,
that's a better one than I dropped. Okay, I'm interested. I like this.
This is the kind of thing, because Facebook advertising or any online advertising is very difficult. Like, should you go global? Should you keep it local? What kind of interest targeting should you do? Should you be using video? Should you be using images, etc.? Lots of questions, and the answer is always it depends.
It depends always
on your business and where your audience is and your product market fit. So for me to give like a sweeping answer is very difficult. So if you do come into Slack group and you can give us details, like I do CrossFit in the north of England. And I focus on, I don't know, males aged between 35 and 50. How should I be doing this? Then we can actually give you actionable advice. But as a general rule of thumb, all I can say is, click boost post and put a little bit of money behind it, which is a male. And so come to the group.
So come to the group. But that is actually spot on, because one of the most common questions we get is, okay, so should I advertise? The answer is always yes. Like, of course you should. If you've got a marketing budget to advertise, of course you should. That's a core part of business.
How you should do it is very different.
How you should do it is so specific to you. There's so many factors to consider there. Everything.
And it might not be on Facebook. I'm using Facebook.
Yeah.
Today, Facebook groups generally going to be the best thing for you, and Facebook is generally the widest and most all-inclusive social network. It's got about 2 billion users, so obviously it's got a wide range.
Yeah.
But it's not always going to be the answer. In this case, in classes, in health and fitness in particular, it will be. But again, come and ask specifically about your business, because it might not be.
Yeah, it could be a different advertising platform, but then we can discuss that in the group. Okay, so what should we? Okay, so method for getting people in. That's essentially the 2 ways. Number 1 is free. Number 2 is paid. That's how we're categorizing this.
So number 1 is through your audience gathering mechanism. It's through the ultimate list, the resource list that you've put together, front and center your group, and the additional ways people can get in contact you and benefit from your experience and expertise. Number 2 is a direct call to action saying, hey, I've set up a group. This is what we're doing in the group. This is why it's good for you. This is who I am. Join below. They're the 2 ways to do it.
Sorry, go on.
We do need to talk about what we're doing in the group.
That's the question. So the next question is, okay, I've got people in the group, whether it's one person, well done. Look, it's not about the numbers to start with. If this is the first time you're doing it, then it doesn't matter. There could be one person, 5 people, 10 people. It could be 10,000 people, as we've seen that some groups experience as well. It all depends. But the point is now just to get your first person in there, first 5 people, first 10 people. But when they are in there, what do you do? What do we do?
Sure. On that issue of like, how do I get my first people in there? You already do lessons. You already do classes. So
yeah,
talk to your clients, talk to your existing customers. That helps you get over that slightly odd phase when there's only 5 people in your group, including like your mum. So if you can bring in your existing students and say, hey, I'm going to be delivering content in here, I'm going to be delivering value in here. If you want to keep in touch during this time, this is the place to be. You're already going to be a few steps ahead of somebody who's starting from scratch.
Yeah, because it does depend, but it is arguable that somebody's got a great offline reputation and a great offline network. They can never have existed online before, but their initial, foot up is bringing all of their offline clients into this group. So that's a good win. So if you're thinking, actually I have a great offline presence, a community, etc. Now it's a case of just educating them and transitioning them online. That's the key. So well done there. I mean, that's extremely hard to do. That's a bigger win than just starting completely online. It gives you a better footing. You have a trust with those people already. Most of them are probably using Facebook or something similar.
Which is one of the other reasons why we have suggested Facebook for today, because there is always going to be an additional friction if you say to them, oh yeah, you just need to go and download this app and then join here, etc. If you can say, oh, it's a Facebook group, most people or most of your customers and clients will already have Facebook, so it's just a bit easier. We're making it easier for them to get into the group.
Yeah, absolutely. So when they are in the group, I guess the big category is like, look, let's deliver them some fantastic content. That's the first thing to consider. Let's deliver them some fantastic content. But what does that mean?
Sure. So this is a big question that I've been going over in my head. I think it means delivering free lessons.
Okay.
But this is something we can discuss, and this is going to depend on the people who are doing this, obviously. I think that is the best way to give away real value, as long as we have the steps in place to make an offer, the next offer. And that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. But I think that's just such a massive hook. If you can say, okay, once a day or once every 2 days or once, however often you can, I'm going to come onto Facebook Live and I'm going to stream a free lesson for the people in my group. I just think that's such a powerful hook and a way to get people in. The question a lot of people are thinking right now is like, well, no, my plan was to charge for
make money.
Yeah. So if I give away stuff for free, how am I going to do that? That's what we're going to be addressing in particular tomorrow, when we're talking about offer, when we're talking about revenue. What I'm talking about now is providing the most basic live experience you can. So let's say you normally do hour-long yoga sessions. What if you did a 25-minute live session every couple of days? So you're giving away a stripped-down version, which is still complete. It's still a good yoga workout, but it's more aimed at beginners. You're not necessarily given the same amount of feedback you would in a paid lesson. It's going to be less structured than if you were taking people through 30 days of yoga, for example, which is something you could sell as a product.
Yeah.
So you're providing value without necessarily devaluing your paid products. In fact, you're using these free lessons to show people you know what you're doing, that you have expertise, that you are worth them investing their time and money in moving forward.
And if we look at the current situation, it also shows that you're standing strong, you're standing tall, you're providing a service even at a cost of being free, a certain level of service, and it's free to your community whilst this is all going on. The appreciation that will bring from your tribe towards you as the value adder or the content producer during this time, they're going to love you for it. I mean, it's just human nature. It's like, hang on a minute, the world is there's a storm around us. The world is going insane or crazy, or we're all in lockdown. But yet this person has carved out time in their day to serve their community within this Facebook group and provide yoga, a gym session, could be coaching, could be group coaching, mentoring. It could be education around a specific topic that you would typically teach live. It could be a maths lesson. Like let's try broaden the examples. Now they're going to love you for that. So think about reputation during this time as well, and how you can reinforce that with your offline audience and a newer online audience as well. Would you agree with that, Kyle?
Yep. The other thing is, what else are you doing? You're stuck at home. I don't want to be mean about this, but it's a lot of people are stuck at home. Yeah. And if you are balking at the idea of giving away an hour's worth of free, content, like we have a lot of extra time at the moment. Depending, especially if you had booked in classes previously and now you don't, for you to set up a camera and deliver this kind of free content for an hour is a relatively small ask on your side. I think that stuff you just said is absolutely on the money, is about you being like a lighthouse in the storm. You are there, you're standing strong, you're providing this kind of service to the community. You can, that's from a moral point of view, that's a great thing to do. You can even think of this in a more cynical way, which is if you were to start to actively offer these kind of services to like NHS workers who need stress relief, etc. That's the kind of thing that would get picked up by newspapers, would get picked up by bloggers, would get spread around a lot more. So by helping other people, you are creating something that's newsworthy, something that people want to support. So I think, cynical is the wrong word for it. It's I think by helping people in this time where people do need help, there's going to be a lot of appreciation, and that's going to help you grow and help more people and build your business off the back of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's okay. You've just decided to choose as a business owner a different path. So there are going to be a handful of people who say, well, they are going to maybe be cynical. We're not interested in them. We're interested in the people who we can serve during this time. That's essentially it. The next thing that I'm thinking on my mind is something that we commonly get is, okay, I don't have any video camera. I haven't got a hard drive. I heard about this editing tool, but oh my God, it costs like £400. I don't have iMovie, all this sort of stuff. There's so many things that people throw at us, and I haven't got a lighting, all this kind of things which we very quickly demystify for them. But what's a good starting point? So we're assuming that they're going to provide this value. It depends what they are. It's going to be this, but obviously we're focusing on the fact that somebody has to physically see you do something through providing that particular service, like yoga, like PTing. It could be that you're an author, and you do book readings, you do writing, you do drawing classes or painting classes. So typically they're going to need to see you and feel as if though it's a live experience. So the closest thing that we can get to a live experience is a video. So we always encourage video because it's the next thing from live experience. Now, Kyle has mentioned we just use this. Do you want to expand on that?
Sure. So it used to be 5-10 years ago, yes, you would need to go and get a video conferencing suite. You'd need a good camera, you need a super fast internet, you'd need microphones, etc. Not really the case anymore. I can use this supercomputer, and that's kind of what it is, with a very good camera, decent microphone, it's fine. I can use it to go live to potentially 2 billion people on Facebook at any time. I can live stream to somebody in India right now, or somebody in Indonesia, and they can watch me using the Facebook Live platform. I mean, the barriers to entry for video production have been removed. So when people come to us with like, oh, what microphone should I buy, what camera, etc., generally it's a psychological block. They're just not willing to get started. And whenever we just say, well, look, you've got this, this high definition camera, in your hand, which
I mean,
can
they filmed
broadcast.
films with these. They've actually filmed
They
movies
have,
or
yeah.
parts of scenes of movies with the latest iPhone or Samsung or
Yeah,
whatever.
Sam Mendes did a whole one on Sam Mendes, whoever it was, did a whole film on an iPhone. So the excuses, the technical excuses, are removed. Basically, yeah, you'll have little technical glitches. Like at the beginning of this, we weren't sure if you could hear us because our streaming software is being a bit weird at the moment. It's fine. It's like, the thing about live video is it makes it more authentic. We are not highly polished. It's not like a corporate video where everything's edited and everything's clean and tidy. But because of that, it's more authentic. It's more true and honest. And as long as you, as an expert, are able to get across your expertise and teach, the camera and the microphone, etc., are secondary.
Secondary, agree. And when I used to go to a yoga studio, when I used to live in my second house from now, the yoga studio, you would all sit down, and then the lady would be playing with the temperature to say, oh, is it too cold? Is it too hot? Oh, is the lighting right? And that's no different to us setting up our live show. Okay, can you guys hear me? Give us a thumbs up if that makes sense. All those kind of things that would happen at the start. It's no different to going to a live studio and, okay, we'll just make sure the lights are set correctly, the temperature's right. The class before us left it in a mess. That's often was the case when I went to the yoga studio.
Like rowdy yoga.
I think no. So this was they use it for multiple things. So I think they did a high intensity circuit, but they left the weights there, and it's like okay, great. So it's that experience is no different to being online. So just try to think of it as quite familiar. It's just a different medium, I guess. So if they were to buy a few things, because you can literally just do this. We did an interview with somebody yesterday. Now time is flying, and he just propped his phone on a bunch of books, books in the back. Propped his phone and says, "Is that okay, guys?" It's like absolutely. But if they were to buy a few things, are there any things that we recommend?
Sure. So depending on how you're doing it. So right now we're using webcams, which is one way to stream. It's a bit more stable. We're mainly using it so that we can also show you screens. So you can use a computer and a webcam, or you can use a telephone. I'll talk about telephones first. If you're using the telephone, you already have the camera. The camera's fine. You don't need to worry about that. You might need to buy a small tripod so that you can get your camera into a nice position. I'm sure I have one around here as well. They're about £10 to £20 on Amazon. Which one do you have?
I moved here recently, so everything's everywhere. I've got like I think mine was like 19 quid on Amazon. Just a tripod, and a full length tripod.
Yeah, so a full length one. So we're talking one that can stand up to 6 foot or whatever. Are really useful if you're doing a wide view. So if you are doing yoga, for example, and you need the whole of your body to be visible, and the camera a bit further back from you, you'll probably need stuff like that. About £20. I think Amazon Basics have one.
Yeah,
it's fine. It does the job. If you are just having a computer on the table and you're talking your phone on a table and you're talking straight to camera, then you can buy
just half length ones.
Yeah, just little tripods like that, and again, £15-20. They're much for muchness. We can put some recommendations below the video, but as long as it can hold a phone, that's kind of all you need. The other thing you might want to invest in is a microphone. The only reason for this is while the camera on an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever you have is really good, the microphones tend not to be. The microphones are good enough for you to have a phone call, but as soon as you if you're back away from your phone because you have a tripod set up and you're doing yoga, 6 foot away, 10 foot away, the microphone is going to pick up all the noise in the room.
Yeah, environmental sound, and it's just not targeted enough.
So you can buy they're called shotgun mics. You can buy a really small one from Shure. That's Shure, which I think is they keep releasing new ones, but I think it's about £70 or so.
Yeah, so that one's quite expensive. So in terms of microphones, you got a shotgun mic which attaches. I've had issues with my Shure, but they keep releasing new models. So I've got one of the newer ones. So Shure's it works. It has a good job. It's got a nice app which can focus the sound in. Also, you
Do you
can
know what the
get
problem with the Shores were? The problem was Apple kept changing how you plug headphones in.
yeah.
So I don't think it was Shure. It was Apple being annoying.
Potentially battling with that, two different hardwares
Yeah.
interacting.
What do you use now? Are you still using the Shure?
So Ro actually uses, so one of our close friends, he uses a cracking device, which is a Rode mic,
Mhm.
but it's a Rode mic that works wirelessly, and it's phenomenal. So you plug one part into here, and you just clip the other part onto here, and the sound quality is incredible. So you could be on the other side of the room, you could be doing yoga, and they can hear you nice and clear.
So that's a Lavalier mic, correct?
Yes, but it's completely wireless.
Yep. Okay. So
that's a good option.
if you're looking on Amazon there, you'd be looking for wireless Lavalier, Lavelier.
And that brand is Rode, Rode. They're famous for microphones. They're the ones that do shotgun mics as well.
How much is that? 100 quid?
So that's anything between probably like 70 quid to 150. So for audio devices, microphones, they're not cheap. So what I would say is the typical advice we give is start first, do maybe a week, 2 weeks. If you feel like actually this is spot on, this is everything that Harms and Kyle is telling us is great. Let me just up my production level. The microphone should be the first thing, not video. Microphone first. I use something like this. It sits on my desk, but I got it like 50% discount, some sort of closing down sale. So that's if you're at your desk, that's quite handy. Good for podcasts and things like that. But apart from that, audio first. It's important because the video can be blurry, but if the sound is not right, it's something about it that just doesn't appeal to an audience.
So this said, as Harminder says, don't feel that you need to go and buy all this stuff right now before you start. Just start and upgrade later if you really need to. And start with the microphone then if you do need to upgrade. If you are doing more lessons like this or classes like this where you can sit down, then you can use your laptop if you want. Again, you can use your phone or your laptop. It doesn't really matter. If you are using a laptop, we both have a different webcam. We're not using our Macintosh's webcam. It is the Logitech what's it called?
All right, let me see. Let me see if I can show them what this looks like.
C920.
Let me see if I can show them.
Is what I'm using. And this is also a Logitech. This is a Logitech HD. So there we go. Harminder has just changed to his Mac camera instead of the webcam.
So I use...
Yeah, that's a C920.
It's all wired up. So I use this.
That's 80 quid, I think.
80 quid. I got it in the discount sales. Any kind of tech, just please just look for a sale. They really do discount this stuff. I think I ended up getting it for like 35 quid or something, but it is worth like 70, 80 pounds. So that's really good.
And the headset I'm wearing is also Logitech. This is a Logitech H340. I think it's about 20 quid. It's, again, you don't need to spend hundreds on these, and your existing stuff is probably fine to start with.
This has turned into like a tech review.
I don't want to show tech thing too much. It's just these are always the questions we get. Like, oh yeah, I want to do.
I give it 4 stars. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to do video. I'm sorry, I want to do video lessons, but I don't know how to do this, and this. People get hung up on the technical stuff, whereas you don't really need to. We have such good technology already that we can produce video of a solid quantity. Immediately.
What I would say is, if there's one video tip I would give you, is have your camera positioned quite well and quite naturally. So if you look at mine and Carl's cameras, they're eye level. There we go. Right, now it's better. So it's eye level, and the feeling is as if we're together. We're sitting around a coffee table. Now, if you're doing yoga or whatever it is, and you're at a distance or PTing, just make sure there's a nice frame set up. You may need somebody to help you with that, or you may want to put an object there. So a nice way to do it is put an object there, frame it up, and then you come around and get rid of the object. Don't do this, please. This is a classic, like, and it's like, hey. So just to summarize what we're doing on the BBO show today, don't do that, because there's no need for it.
You need to be comfortable.
Yeah, you got to be comfortable, but also make it comfortable for the viewer. And that's okay. So we're back. So that's it really. I know we've sort of rambled that last bit, but it's nice to have the discussion really, because what Carl said is, don't spend a lot of cash to start with. Start simple, start low tech. Even the low tech stuff is really, really good.
Yeah.
Allow reinvestment. So when we go to tomorrow's episode, we'll talk about an offer. Now, you may want to take a percentage of those profits or income and say, I want to reinvest into better production. That's the sensible way to do business, not chuck loads of cash at it to start with. And that's our opinion anyway. That's our thought. You may say, actually, I've got loads of cash sitting there. I'd love to tech up this. This is something I've always wanted to do. Harms and Carl, you've now encouraged me. I've always thought about this setup. I know how to do it. I'm now going to invest because I'm going to do this properly from the get-go. If that's your scenario, great, crack on. We're not going to stop you from buying tech.
You can spend a lot of money on cameras and audio,
and it's quite a fun thing. So just really go nuts. I think that's it for the BBO show today. Let me just summarize some actions for us to do. So number one is quick actions. Set up a Facebook group. There was a part about branding the group, but we'll talk about that in the future. So set up a Facebook group. That's the key. Number two is add the link to that group to the resource list that you're now distributing. And also just let people know you've got a free group. You're opening it up to do X, Y, Z.
Next door as well. Like all the distribution methods we talked about yesterday, hit them up.
Exactly. Also shoot a join the tribe video, a very short one like Carl gave you an example, and then boost it. Look at episode number 2 to understand the audience insights there, but we're not going to dive too deep into that as well. Then the final thing is run some daily videos / lives straight from the group in terms of whatever it is you do. For example, it could be yoga classes, 25-minute, half an hour, 40-minute yoga classes. So that's it. That's in a nutshell. If you've got questions on today's episode, come and join us in the Slack group. I know we discussed it a few times today, but that's the best place to really interact with us, to be honest. That's why we set it up. It's a distraction-free place, just to connect with me and Carl off the back of this. That's it. That's all I have to say for today's show. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about
money,
how to get to this part. Now we worked our way through this and how to get to this part. And we've given you an example pathway, an example funnel process. But hopefully it helps. Hopefully it's helping. Hopefully you've already created that resource list and you start to distribute it. That's the aim here. Action what we're talking about.
Yeah, none of these things should take that long. So we're giving you a pathway through. There are so many ways you could do this, so many ways you could launch an online business. So some people who know about online business, they might be watching this like, oh, well, you should do this. Why are you suggesting that? It's like, that's fine. We just want to give everybody out there who's in this situation.
Stop watching our show, you guys.
Yeah. Come join the group. Help people in there. We want to give people who are in this particular situation one pathway through this with a few simple steps that anyone can follow and that we know will work basically. But yes, there's a million different ways to do this. We're just not interested in them because it's too much.
And also I feel like we're so mean. Don't ask us other ways to do it unless you've tried this method first. That's also, we're going to get, but what about this? What about this? Okay, try this one first. If it doesn't work for your particular thing that's going on.
Well, my answer would be, if people are like, well, can I try this? Can I try this? The answer would be, yeah, absolutely, try it. But the problem is, if you're experimenting in 6 different directions at the same time, you don't know which of those is the one that's working for you.
And everything Carla spoke about and we've spoke about so far can be done very quickly. So think of this as week 1, experiment 1. Week 2 can be next week when we discuss some other stuff.
Yep. Cool.
Awesome. So that's myself and Carl signing off from today. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Same time.